Mimimi Games' latest title, Shadow Gambit, has a bit of a weird ongoing PR problem. It's the third game they've made after Shadow Tactics and Desperados 3, and they specialize in reviving a unique genre of games called... well, that's where the problem is. They originally called it Real-Time Tactics. It plays like an RTS, except you're limited to a squad. Except in video games, tactics refers to a turn-based grid, like in Tactics Ogre or XCOM. As a fan of the original Commandos and Desperados, I recognized this problem pretty early on, and actually ignored Shadow Tactics for a long time like many other fans, and the developers are pretty open about this issue. This time around, they're trying to make a push to now call it Stealth Strategy, though this is probably an uphill battle. I got a review key for the demo recently, and the game's coming out in a couple months, but since it was a Tuesday I left it for a few days, and I can see what everyone else is calling it. Some are calling it a stealth strategy, as requested, but I've also spotted real-time strategy RPG, jeu d'infiltration, just stealth game, tactical squad, and tactical stealth. Personally, I like to pitch it as a stealth RTS or stealth CRPG, but I'm not really being helpful if I say that kind of thing. Anyway, about the Shadow Gambit demo. If you're familiar with stealth games, you'll know the basics. Enemies have patrol routes and cones of vision, and in this, you have a bunch of heroes with different skills. You can throw stuff, put stuff down, call enemies, and yada yada. The first thing I noticed this time around is that the first hero's abilities were different. I was expecting a pattern of a throwing knife and a throwable noisemaker, but this time you throw a sword and teleport to it, and instead of making an enemy look away, you just freeze them in time with your stand. So yeah, this is a magic voodoo zombie pirate game. It's probably not a setting I'm terribly comfortable with, probably because I just don't see it often. But since we've had ninjas and cowboys so far, I'm at least expecting the fourth one to be robots. Anyway, all of the heroes in fact seem to have at least one ability that breaks away from what I've seen since Commandos 2. For example, instead of throwing a puff of powder that obscures vision, you throw a seed that instantly grows into a bush. Instead of laying down a spike trap and luring enemies, you lay down a paper seal and teleport to it later. It's a pretty cool exploration of abilities that wouldn't work in a mundane setting, so I'm looking forward to experimenting a little bit. This is also supported by the fact that you not only have a non-linear mission structure now, but also non-linear hero recruitment. Previously, the levels were carefully crafted with a specific set of characters in mind, and in the post-game you can play challenge versions with a different set. But now, mix and matching is part of the campaign. That said, it does make me wonder if this will cause balancing issues. I think I actually already ran into one. On the world map, missions give a time estimate, but I took the same amount of time to complete both demo missions. I don't really have a lot of data to refer to here, but it's something to think about. Much like Desperados 3, they've also made a small number of updates to the core gameplay and interface, but this time I'm not sure if I'm a total fan of it. The developers always embraced the idea of save scumming to progress, and previous games had pop-ups reminding you to quick save. This time, they've made it a part of the story, with a time travel ability, but the visual effects feel a bit much given how often I'm gonna press it. The save reminder was also straight up confusing, since I think it's that ghostly bell I kept seeing. I thought it was an autosave or hint at first, but after I figured it out, I just started ignoring it. Another criticism I have is a small control tweak. Previously, to perform an alternate action, you held down control and clicked, which is pretty normal on PC. However, this has been replaced with holding down the mouse button, which is probably a concession for consoles. I couldn't find an option to revert it in this build, unfortunately. That said, there are also a few cool things. The minimap is gone, for one. It might sound bad at first, but I usually focus on room-to-room stealth, so it mostly just took up screen space. Instead, you can zoom out really far, and the map itself turns into a piece of art. The resolution wasn't great though, so I was more interested by the camera transition. Instead of an isometric angle, you can actually leave it in a top-down position, making it feel like a Metal Gear game or something. I actually played a segment like this and it felt really useful. In any case, that's kind of it, I think, for my first impressions. I decided to ask for a review key, so I'm obligated to make something, but there's not much to say without feeling like I'm just telling you how the game works. I've pointed out the changes, and the levels themselves will be what they be when they get there, but I'm interested in the increased open-endedness. The statistics I got after the levels were promising, since it turns out I used each character equally, but the total length wasn't accurate. The magic justifies stuff like teleportation and hypnosis, and I bet the voodoo character in Desperados 3 was testing the waters for its potential. Shadow Gambit went on my wishlist as soon as I heard of it, but it's just a weird genre to pitch. I think it'd be nice if everyone agreed on a name, but I'm not really sure what to do there. Either way, this was all based on a pre-release demo, and it was still pretty fun to check out.